I'm going to make this into a race car and everything you see inside is going to be ripped out, so probably not.
No, you don't need the gap. All right, everyone. Well, I'm here with my buddy Forrest. Hey, Forrest.
Hey.
And look what we found. This is not your average Chevy Bolt. There's quite a few unique elements of this. So we're gonna check it out. We have a little bit of time today. We're gonna take a little bit of a deep dive into this really one-of-one Chevy Bolt, right?
Yeah, the more I destroy it, the more one-of-one it is, right?
Remind me, Forrest, if we're talking about like before you got to it, Chevy Bolt, this is an electric car and it's what, about 200 horsepower? Yep. Something like that?
200 horsepower and 62, 64, I forget, kilowatt hour battery.
Okay. And it's, how much about torque does it put down?
Oh, I'd have to double check. You probably want to put an asterisk at the bottom of this, but I think it's like high 200s or maybe 300 foot-pounds.
Okay. What I think is super hilarious is that this entry level, this is basically like
it's one of the cheapest EVs you could buy in 2018. It's super basic.
But it's like faster than the Mitsubishi Eclipse Turbo, stock to stock, like that I used to have. That was 200 horsepower and 0 to 60 in like 8 or 9 seconds. And I think this stock is like...
It's in the sixes, I think.
Yeah, 6.5 seconds. So stock to stock, it's faster than a turbocharged car of the 90s, which is pretty impressive. So 2018. And did you have this car before you turned it into a race car, or?
No, I can tell you the whole story, but the short answer is I bought it from a used car dealer that specializes in EVs.
Okay. And
when I was checking out and signing all the paperwork, they asked me, do you want a warranty on this, like an extended warranty? I'm like, I'm going to make this into a race car and everything you see inside is going to be ripped out, so probably not.
No, you don't need the gap. Okay, that's awesome. And what year was that you
I got it in fall 2023. So I've had this for almost 2 years. And the first place I took it after buying it, after I took a few pictures of it, in the parking garage, was straight to the fabricator to gut it and put a roll cage in it so we could take it racing.
Oh man, so this plan was like, you already knew that you were going to, did you know you were going to be racing it in Lemons?
Yeah, so I've been following 24 Hours of Lemons racing since it started in maybe 2006 or 2007.
Okay.
Like, there was car and driver articles about it back then. It was just super cool, but I was a high school student and I didn't have the resources to actually do it.
Yeah.
And by the time I did have the resources, I'd become kind of a full convert to like, EVs are really exciting, we should see what they can do. Like, I just try to do what I can in life with EVs,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I went this route.
Okay. So I guess take us through what you had to do to get it prepped for the 24 Hours of Lemons race series.
So, let's open up the doors and just take a look in here. As you can see, it's quite different. I mean, you have to have a racing seat, which has to be mounted to the car in a certain way. It needs 5 or 6 point harnesses, which we have here. I also, just for convenience, have a passenger seat, so if we want to have an instructor ride along at a track day or something like that, we can do that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the Lemons people in the rules, they want us to take everything out of the interior that's flammable, at least within reason, so that's why there's no carpet and no headliner. It needs a roll cage. This is probably the most expensive aspect of the conversion, was having a welder who knows how to make roll cages figure out in this small car how to cram all this tubing in that will keep you safer in a crash that happened during a race.
Can I open this here?
Please do, yeah.
Wow. And was it tough to find a fabricator that was willing to work with an EV?
There were a couple people who said no, but the guy we went with, the company's called TC Design in Campbell, California. The reason that they were happy to do it was they do a lot of, they've done other EV work before, so they were just more comfortable dealing with it.
Okay.
Yeah, also this is mostly cleaned out in here, but this is, I was just messing with this today. This is a grill block that goes in the front. It's like an efficiency thing that comes from GM.
Oh, wow.
But I was taking it out because we things do get toasty under the hood. So I was trying to see if I could get more airflow just by deleting this little part here.
And did that help?
I don't know. I just took it out yesterday. So,
Okay.
it's the 4th of July weekend, so I've just been kind of wrenching on things.
Sweet.
Yeah. And this car is just exactly as it rolled off the racetrack at the end of the last race. So like the wheels are mismatched. It's dirty. We've got these light up numbers because it was an overnight race. Like, you know, you could either say it's like, at this level of racing, you just call it laziness that I didn't wash it. But if it were like professional racing, you'd be like, oh, it's got that race patina.
That's right. Did you have fun racing it at that last race? 25
oh, it was
hours?
great. Yeah, I mean, you were there.
I
too,
was there.
driving
I had
also.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing. A lot of people in Lemons racing say that the really long races, the ones that are overnight, so they do a couple of overnight races a year, and then most of them are 7 hours on Saturday, 7 hours on Sunday is the usual format. A lot of people prefer having a good night's sleep in the middle, which probably is healthy, but like the adrenaline and the excitement of just running the car for 24, 25 hours straight was kind of addictive.
Yeah, it is like an all-in experience for sure.
Yeah, I just forget about everything else in life and just try to keep the wheels turning.
That's one of the weird things that I found with racing is that it like is so all-encompassing that it almost like helps you relieve stress from the rest of your life because you can't think about anything else but what you're doing. I think that there's something poetic about that you go really fast to slow down.
Yeah.
What about these tires? Is this the stock sized tires or did you go a little bit wider for the series?
So maybe it's good we have these mismatched wheels because I can give you a tour of the different things we've tried for racing. So these are the stock wheels. I think they're 17-inch diameter by 6.5 inches wide. And then these tires are 215, 50, 17. So they've got quite a bit of sidewall to them.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the tire, it kind of sticks out a little bit beyond the rim, and that's just how it came from the factory stock.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's because they wanted to give you traction, but a narrower wheel is lighter. So one downside is it does kind of roll over a bit on the shoulder in a racing setting. These were the stickiest tires. These are Hankook Ventus V12 that I could find that was exactly the stock size. So our first race, we use this in all 4 corners.
Okay.
Now these are more kind of our backup wheels in case the other ones, like in the last race, we had a flat, so we switched to these in the back.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, or
I didn't realize
the
that.
pressure started going down fast, so we quickly changed out the tires. And then these are the ones that I think work a lot better. We usually run this on all 4 corners. So these are Falcon RT 615 something or other, and they're 215, 45, 17. So the sidewall's a little bit shorter.
Yep.
So one interesting thing about this is to get these stickier tires in the stock diameter, 17-inch, we had to actually get a shorter sidewall. And as you know, EVs, they have typically, unless it's a Taycan or something, they have 1 gear, right?
Right.
So the top speed actually went down because we switched to these tires. So it used to be 93, now it's about 88 or 89.
Interesting.
And you definitely, like, in Lemons racing, where we're kind of hypermining a little bit, it doesn't really matter.
Totally.
For the track day, we gain a bunch of speed in the corners with this, but we lose speed in the straights. So, we're a little bit faster with this than with the more basic tires, but it's not as dramatic a lap time improvement as you would think.
Interesting. And have you taken this to just regular track days as well, at like HPDE,
several,
stuff like that?
Probably at least 5 or 6 times.
Okay, cool.
So
cool.
I would estimate between 5 Lemons races and 5 HPDEs, it's probably spent at least 15 days on the track.
Very cool. That's awesome. NASA series or SCCA?
For the HPDE stuff, there are a few organizers around here we usually go with. There's one called Lightspeed. There's another one called Speed SF.
Okay.
They run pretty good events.
Sweet.
And the actual tracks, it's usually Thunderhill, Sonoma, Buttonwillow.
Buttonwillow.
Been, yeah.
That's like a famous benchmark track. Everyone's trying to get sub 2.
Buttonwillow.
Buttonwillow.
Yeah.
I haven't hit it yet.
This thing's great there, yeah.
I bet. What do we have here? This is a data logger of some sort, or?
Yeah, maybe I'll come around the other side and try to explain the software side of things here.
Yeah.
So I'm a computer programmer / AI engineer by day, so I'm not the best at wrenching, but I'm really good at programming. So we kind of built out a system here where we can show the driver for the current lap and the previous lap how much battery percent they use and an overall battery.
Oh, wow.
And we give them some other metrics and sensors here.
That's custom?
Yeah, so this is plugged into a Raspberry Pi down here.
Dude, Forrest, that's so
and then
sick.
that goes over to that OBD plug over there.
Okay.
The reason there's like multiple plugs there and stuff is like we need to get a shape adapter to kind of fit it around the roll cage and stuff.
Yeah. So that goes down to here.
Yeah.
This here.
Yeah, so that's hardwired to the Raspberry Pi.
Wow.
So,
there it is. There's Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Coming through.
Yeah, this one right here, the one powered by the gold wire.
I can see it really good from this side.
And we added a bunch of USB power outlets too to keep all this crap running.
I bet.
Yeah, and then we usually also in a race we would run another unit here that's like a lap timer.
Okay.
A Garmin lap timer.
Is anything hooked into the CAN system for the car?
The most tight integration with CAN is just using the OBD port. We haven't dug any deeper than that yet.
Okay.
We may end up doing that. Like, I bet there's some temperature signals, for example, like maybe internal to the battery buses or things like that we don't have from CAN that maybe we could, or we don't have from OBD that maybe we could get from CAN, but we haven't gone that deep yet.
Interesting. How are you getting the signals for the lap time and the battery state of charge and stuff like that into your custom software there?
So on the on the lap time up here on the dashboard there's just a GPS taped to the top of the dashboard.
Yeah.
So that several times a second tells you the coordinates. And so we just read that in the Raspberry Pi. We wrote everything in the Python programming language. And one of the threads in the code that we have just has a list of start-finish lines of all the local tracks.
Oh,
and if you
wow.
cross one of them, it's like, okay, new lap.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, and then in terms of reading the OBD stuff from the car, there's a pretty nice library called OBD Python. It's either OBD Python or Python OBD, I forget which. But anyway, we just used that, and I kind of found in the Bolt forum a spreadsheet of all the special EV OBD codes, like, you know, what do you ask the OBD system for if you want the battery percent or the temperature of the coolant inside the battery or things like that. And so we just query all those pretty frequently, and then that's what shows up on the gauges.
That's really, really cool.
We also log to the cloud, so this thing has a built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. So I set up a MongoDB database in the cloud, and like whenever this thing reads some data from the car, it just uploads a few bytes of data to our database. So I can go on a laptop during a race and monitor everything.
Even while it's on the track, it's live.
Especially while it's on the track.
Dang, that's really, dude, I've never seen anything like that. This is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's all custom. How are you seeing the battery charge and the lap times, and you know, what insights are you gaining from this setup as you guys are out there?
I think the biggest thing is driver coaching. So a lot of racing teams in a short race, say you're doing a sprint race, it's a few minutes, you just drive as fast as you can. It's pretty much the strategy. In endurance racing, even if you're not driving EV, you're conserving a little bit, right? Like I remember one of the winners, one of the Lemons races in the BMW said they were shifting their manual transmission at 4,800 RPM. So 4,800 RPM is way below the red line.
Yeah.
But they're doing things like that to try to make the car survive for hours and hours and hours of racing.
Right.
So we're doing the same thing, but you know, our drivers sometimes might get like a little bit greedy and want to use more battery or, you know, push it harder. And we used to get on the radios and talk to them about, hey, like let's try for actually a little bit slower lap time.
Coming in a little hot there.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's like self-contained. So the driver, I just kind of talked to them before the race of, hey, here at Thunderhill, we want to get in the 3-mile track 2.1% battery use per lap.
Yeah.
And then just try to, with the skills you have and the tires you have and the traffic you have, just try to get the best lap time you can out of that. And it works pretty well because the driver, even in the middle of the lap, can kind of see, oh, I've used more battery already than I had aimed for by this corner, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Or maybe I got stuck in traffic for a long time and I barely use any battery, so I'm going to catch up a little bit.
Oh, that's really cool. Is it color coded?
Yeah,
it's red if they're like going a little hot.
The way I wrote the code for now is I think above 1% it turns yellow and above 2% it turns red.
Oh, nice.
And I adjust those depending on what the goal is for that track.
For Thunderhill, what was your goal?
I wrote it in huge letters here. So we wanted to get a 250 lap time and 2.1% per lap.
Okay, yeah.
Which,
And that translates to how many laps per stint, or roughly?
yeah, so we could do the math here. So in the 25-hour Lemons race, we started with a full battery and ran it down to almost empty. Then we would drive to the Walmart where there are Electrify America chargers nearby, recharge, and then drive back to the track. Once we got into, once we'd done that once, it no longer made sense in the middle of the race to charge to completely full, because that, if you drive an EV, most EVs, the top few percent is really slow to charge. So we would just charge to 70% over and over again. And so when going from maybe 70 to 5, and if we had about 2% per lap, so that's 65% to work with. So what is that, 30 something laps?
Yeah.
33 laps, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I think that matches the data I remember. It was between 30 and 40 laps per battery, something like that.
That's kind of a long stint. That's a long.
Yeah, and we would sometimes break it in, sometimes we would break it into 2 drivers because you were at that race. Remember, it was super hot outside.
Oh, yeah.
We did have a cooling suit for the drivers, but
degrees.
yeah, it was 108 degrees. So a lot of the time, one driver would go do 15, 16 laps, and another driver would do that. We also kind of coordinated it, so when we're getting ready, putting on our suit, getting ready to go on the track, and we're at the charger, you'd put your helmet on, you'd put your Hans device on, you put everything on, your gloves, you drive to the track and just go straight onto the track. And when you finish your stint, if the battery's almost dead, you don't stop, don't pass go, don't collect $200, just drive to the charger directly with all your crap on.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of strategy there.
Yeah, this adds a lot of extra variables compared to driving a gas car at Lemons. On the other hand, I feel doing all this stuff, one is huge knock on wood here, but so far this thing's been reliable. We haven't had any kind of battery issue, powertrain issue, anything like that.
Yeah.
So compared to people who are really running a $500 gas car, we have a lot less mechanical issues to deal with. The other thing is putting a lot of our brain cycles into, how do we get the battery to last, keeps us from having any bad crashes so far, right? We're not really an aggressive, push it as hard as you can team. We're much more philosophical about it, you could say.
Yeah, I like that. And some of the challenges of an endurance race, it does cross over. It's the same, like you were talking about the Beamer drivers conserving fuel. In some of the track days that I've done in the Tesla, I'll go out with Mustangs and Beamers, and they have to fill up after every stint with more fuel, and you do the math and they're getting 3 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, for sure.
So just going fast inherently takes a lot more juice, whatever you're powering it with.
That's for sure. And I think one argument people make against using EVs for the track is they say, well, figuring out the charging is extra effort. Maybe after a few laps, you'll start getting slower lap times because, different components will get warm and it'll just not give you as much power, which is an issue that most EVs have.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I'm just such a big track rat. I calculated how many thousands of gallons over the next 10 years of gas I would use if it were a gas car, and it's just enormous. And I'm I think I can get a similar amount of joy doing this.
Yeah.
And not, and just use electricity.
That's pretty awesome that you actually have that number to compare. Well, how about the heat soaking? I mean, we talked a little bit, you mentioned that it heat soaks. When you guys are taking this on the track, what gets soaked first? Is it battery heating up? Is it the motors? Are your brakes first to go?
It's a great question. So the brakes have been astonishingly good. So we're running the stock size rotors. We have EBC yellow brake pads, which are rated for a little bit higher temperature than normal brake pads.
Okay.
And given the top speed of this is only, depending what tires you're using 88 or 93 or something, not braking over and over from triple digits really kind of saves the brakes.
Yeah.
In terms of battery, the readings that we can get from OBD, nothing's getting hot. They're all well within operating temperature. In fact, in the 108 degree race at Thunderhill, the battery was actually colder than the outside because it uses an air conditioner, a heat pump to cool the battery.
You still have the heat pump in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't really just delete
great.
the air conditioning from this because it's also used to cool the battery.
Yeah.
So
that's super key though.
That's key, yeah. So the battery, as I say, the parts of it that I have sensors for from OBD look great. What I don't know is whether there are certain things like the bus bars or other places that might heat up that are what's thermally limiting.
Yeah.
I just don't have enough sensors in there. I also look at the temperature of the electric motor and transaxle, which is all one unit. I have one like measurement for the fluid, basically the trans fluid in there, and also one measurement for some metal component. I don't know where exactly the sensor is mounted. Those, it's interesting. If you look throughout a day, I can get you a graph of this, it's kind of a stair-step function. Like, it'll keep going up and up and up, but maybe only in the first or second stair-step of getting hotter, sometimes we'll start to heat soak, and it will, by heat soak, I mean the car will just decide to give you less kilowatts, less horsepower. But even though like every couple laps, the car will spend a little while in kind of low horsepower mode, that temperature of the trans fluid will keep going up. So I don't think it's that.
It's not limiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually kind of a mystery. We've talked a little bit to some people at GM as well, and we honestly don't know what's getting too hot. But I am pretty confident that given the amount of scrutiny on EVs, given that GM voluntarily did the battery recall when just a few of them had, you know, thermal issues, I'm pretty sure it is doing something very conservative on deciding when to limit power.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that recall. Has this been fixed?
Yeah, one great thing about this car is, so I don't know precisely, but when I look at the history in Carfax of where this car's been, it had an owner, or I think it was leased for 3 years, and it came back from a lease. And then it was kind of, you know, off, you know, not registered. It was nowhere for a bit. And when I bought it, what the dealer told me is it had been leased, and then they want to do the battery recall, but the cars coming off lease are very low priority for that. GM just says, okay, we'll just leave them parked somewhere until we get to it, right?
Yeah.
We're prioritizing customer cars. So when this showed up at the used dealer, it had just gotten a new battery. So I checked in OBD how many times the battery had been recharged, and it was like 3.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we got a brand new battery. And after all this racing and stuff for the last year and a half or so, we haven't seen any battery degradation. It gives you a number of kilowatt hours and amp hours in the OBD, and it's the same as before, or, you know, it might actually be a little bit higher, which is weird.
That breaking it in?
I don't know. Yeah. Something about balancing the battery cells, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love this. There's so much details to uncover. I have a lot more questions, but maybe while we're doing it, can we take this on a drive? Is it drivable?
It's drivable.
Can we do a little?
You want who should drive?
You can drive.
Okay, sure.
I just want to be passenger.
Okay.
And experience it. Maybe I'll take a drive a little bit later.
Okay, sounds good.
As fast as a turtle can. I love that. I've been describing Lemons to people as 50% race cars and 50% Burning Man.
Yeah, that's a good description. There's definitely costumes and all kinds of festivities that I think help the drivers become more friendly with each other and not so aggressive. I feel like the real enemy of road racing, what can make it not fun, is when people are too aggressive. And so if we're all out there and it's more of a carnival at the racetrack than a hardcore thing where we're all trying to win the grand prize, it's just a lot more fun.
That's what it really should be.
Yeah. I remember at one track day, there was for those of you who do track day, at the beginning of the day, there's always a driver's meeting and the organizers give a little speech and try to get everyone to kind of just take it easy. And I remember one track day organizer, this was up in Washington State, he goes, this is just a track day, right? Like, there are no trophies. I guess I could give you a cone. So that's kind of how I feel about Lemons. Like, at most we're going to get a cone. That's
perfect. All right, I managed to get buckled there. It was close.
Oh, you missed one.
Are you going to tell on me?
Oh, if you don't want it, I mean.
There we go.
It's up to you.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Well, one definite difference from your typical Bolt is these chairs. Much more stiff, much more upright. They're proper racing chairs. I've rented Bolts a couple times traveling, and I've always really enjoyed driving them. The rear view mirror is pretty nice. Are you guys able to get good vision out of that, even with the helmet and everything on?
Good might be a stretch, but we can usually see if someone's about to dive bomb us in the,
That's the most
braking
important.
zone.
Yeah. I noticed that there's a canister behind me.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
You were asking about what are all the things we had to do to get it ready for Lemons. So we talked about the seats, we talked about the roll cage, but that canister is basically a fire retardant gas. I can never remember what's the chemical formula for exactly what it is, but it's whatever you're supposed to run in Lemons. So if you look down here, there's a button.
Oh yeah.
If you turn this on and you push this button, it will squirt fire retardant foam at your feet, and it will also squirt it at the area under the hood where the electric motor is. You might ask why we put it under the hood. That's just what the Lemons rule said to do. So we just went with it.
Okay. One question I know people are going to ask is how are you able to get Lemons to give the thumbs up on a car that's more than $500?
Yeah, so I feel like we're at a point with Lemons where $500 is more of a vibe than anything else. Like it's $500 is just part of the Lemons formula of trying to get people to not be doing insanely fast laps,
Yeah.
burning up expensive parts constantly, stuff like that.
The pay to win mentality.
Exactly. It's trying to get rid of the pay to win mentality. By the way, should I roll up the windows?
We can, sure. It's a race car that has roll-up windows. Sure.
Yeah, the windows go up. It'd be good for the background noise in the video, I would assume. So
We're just too excited. We just started
too excited,
driving.
I forgot. Yeah. So to your question about $500. So $500 in Lemons, I feel, is more of a vibe than a hard requirement. So when we were at the tech inspection at the most recent race, one of the cars next to us was a C5 Corvette.
I saw that one.
And
the
they
red
talked
one.
for a long time about how was this $500? Well, we found it in the field, and the transmission was broken, and it's not automatic, and wouldn't start, and things like that. With this, it's just like, okay, so you're going to spend at least 30% of the race parked because you're charging. So you're not going to win.
Yeah.
Okay, go drive. So that's the whole thing. I think it's not just us either. For example, in Lemons, there was a Rolls Royce that ran sometime, and in fact, I think I saw the Rolls Royce in a recent Lemons video show up, and it's been modified with a V10 motor from a Dodge Viper, and there's no way this thing's $500, but it's just like such a random collection of questionably reliable parts that the end result usually is like it does a few laps and then it like barfs up its coolant and then they get it going again later and it does a few more laps. And cars like that, like no one really cares what you spent because, it's not like you're threatening the Miatas and the E30s for like winning the race.
Yeah, that's fair. There's also, I guess if it did start to get a little bit more competitive, isn't there like a rule where you like start with a track deficit?
Yeah, they can give you penalty laps. So that sometimes happens that they'll say, they rarely say, well, they won't usually turn a car away if it has all the safety equipment that it needs. They won't really say, oh, you can't drive, please go away. It'll be more like, okay, you can start with negative 50 laps, and then you'll probably never catch the people who actually win in terms of the number of laps on the lap counter.
Did you see the car at Thunderhill that it was like an 800 horsepower drag car?
Yeah, did it start with like negative 999 laps or something? I remember
think
that.
That's right.
Maybe a Pontiac or something?
I wasn't paying that close attention. I probably should. Maybe I have it in the content. I can find a picture of it. But it was a beautiful car. Someone had put in a lot of effort building it, but it certainly was more of a show car. But I really respect the fact that they just took it to the track, ran it as it was.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
What's one of the questions that you get asked most from people who find out that you're racing this Bolt and they get a moment of your time?
A lot of people I meet who ask me what I do as a hobby, I kind of introduce this whole project, and they first think that I race in an all EV racing series, and that the main reason that I would race an EV is because that's what's required. And then I kind of explain, well, it's actually a racing series that encourages people to just do weird stuff. And this is my particular flavor of weird stuff that I'm into right now. And then we eventually go deeper, and then most of these people conclude that either they want to race to win and they want to get a Miata, or they just don't get my sense of humor, which is fine. But yeah, so often it's about what are the rules of lemons and where this fits in.
Did you get anyone excited enough to want to join, or to start driving EVs even?
For sure. So the way I've recruited most of the drivers on the team is, so these days I work at Meta, the company that runs Facebook and Instagram and various other things. And I just kind of posted on some internal groups of people who like cars and said, hey, I'm doing this thing, I've got this car. Anyone who's done at least a couple of track days of experience want to come drive it with me? And I got lots of interest, and it's at the point where I kind of interview people for team fit and stuff like that.
That's really cool. Were you already into cars and racing before this?
Oh yeah, my parents have shoe boxes full of my crayon drawings of car ideas and ideas for car parts dating back to age 5.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you grow up karting or anything like that?
Not competitively, but we had a 45-acre farm in rural Illinois, and so my 7th birthday present was an off-road go-kart with a roll cage. And there's no odometer on it, but I probably put several thousand miles on it.
Oh, that's so cool. That's a great place to learn how to drive.
Yeah.
I grew up about an hour out of town, and the first 25 minutes of it was a dirt road.
Nice.
And I definitely credit a lot of my understanding of driving and being able to feel the vehicle from having to navigate dirt roads 365.
Yeah, in the rain, bad weather.
Yeah. Come around the corner, the road has fallen out.
Yeah.
Slid away.
For sure. Along the
These
same
are all
lines,
real stories.
I feel like everyone in California should be shipped off to some cold place to drive in the snow for a month. We'd all be a little bit better drivers.
I lived in PA for 2 years and delivered pizzas at the time, and delivering pizzas in a snowstorm was a sink or swim moment for me. Fortunately, I did swim.
Nice.
But yeah, that was it.
Do you want to start heading back to where we started?
Yeah, let's head back.
All right, I'll make the next U-turn I can.
You talked about your process for charging this car. One of the only downsides that I experienced after renting these is that, man, the fast charging is way slower than I didn't realize that.
It's bad.
It's like maxes at 38 kilowatt hour,
I've seen
something like
a little
that.
bit better than that. I think the fastest I've seen in this is 54 kilowatt
54.
speed charging, but the charging curve, and in the video we can maybe put a picture of it, it's not from 0 to 100%, it just stays at 54. Starting from 0 or pretty much empty, it starts at maybe the mid 40s and it gradually ramps up to 54 kilowatt, kind of at the midpoint, maybe around 50% battery. And then above 50%, it starts slowing down to the point where once you're above 90%, it's, some single digit number of kilowatt.
That's rough.
I think. So that's why we just, during a race, we sort of cut our losses at around 70% charge, where the charging curve, the charging speed is really dropping off, and we just go back on the track and use up some juice.
And that's because it doesn't have battery conditioning prior to the fast charge either, right? That's why it starts at a slower rate and then ramps up, because it's waiting for the battery to get warm enough to accept the higher input.
That's certainly one theory. There's probably some truth to that. Although if you start at 50%, it will just go straight to 54 kilowatts.
Oh, really? Maybe it's just hard-coded without looking at the sensor.
The closest answer I've heard is just kind of, they were designing this car, it came out in 2017, which means they probably started designing it several years earlier, maybe 2012 or something like that.
Sure.
The Model S was just coming out when this thing started, and it was this really expensive unobtainium thing. And I think they were just trying to keep things as simple as possible. So even thicknesses of wiring cost money, and making things reliably charge fast is additional hours of engineering effort. And the most basic Bolt you could buy in 2017 didn't have fast charging. It was actually an option for the first couple of years. And so,
Wow, I didn't realize
I think
that.
it was more of a company priority and cost and all that. Like, this came out the same year as the Model 3, right? The Model 3, which you're driving right now,
Yeah.
came out in 2017, and it was just way ahead of this car in every category except for price and the fact it has a hatchback, right? You know, I don't think this does anything else better than the Model 3, but this thing was, what, half the price?
Half the
Two-thirds the price?
Yep.
So they, you know, I don't think they irresponsibly cut corners or did anything that endangers the user or is super terrible, but fast charging was just something that was sacrificed, I think, for cost and engineering effort.
Yeah, that would make sense. How is the regen?
It's great. So next time we slow down, if you want to focus the camera here, it'll show you a sort of a number. When it turns yellow and kind of shows the up here, that's using battery. And then when it goes down, like when we're going to slow down and it will turn green, that's absorbing energy back into the battery.
That's awesome.
So there's no one behind me. I can show you right now. So it's going to turn green.
Oh yeah.
And if I go a little bit faster and then I pull this little handle here, this little pedal, it will give me, I think, up to 70 kilowatts. We can test that. Gave me 56. I just think I wasn't going fast enough.
Okay,
so if we're on the highway and we pull that, it'll go all the way to 70.
Flappy paddle is for actual like max regen.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Without the pedal, I think it maxes out at 50 kilowatts.
Huh.
We've talked about whether we should just zip tie the pedal on during a race.
Well, there also is a downside to a lot of regen, which is heat soak.
Yeah, you're certainly, if your energy is going in and out of the battery several times, that's more heat.
I run into that with the Tesla on track days, trying to monkey with what's that sweet spot, because I will absolutely heat soak that thing. And it's a Model 3 Performance, even with the like battery conditioning, and it's just running the chiller the whole time. It gets heat soaked and then derates.
That makes sense.
I'll turn down the regen, and that gives me a little bit more, but then you have to you lose brake, you use more brake. So it's all a balance. There's a knob just right up here. What does that adjust? Is that
that's the GPS? It actually doesn't rotate.
This doesn't rotate?
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one. That one is for, in the really hot weather races, we have that knob hooked up to a cooler that has a marine pump in it, like a bilge pump.
Oh, it's the cool suit.
It's for the cool
control.
suit. Yeah, so it controls. It's like a cycle timer, so if you turn it halfway, it'll run the cool suit half the time. It'll just go on and off.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Most people just put it on the max setting, though.
Well, we definitely did that at Thunderhill. I was running without a cool suit at Thunderhill, and when it was 108, that kind of sucked, man. It was very toasty.
It was actually pretty good with the cool suit. Like, I actually have no complaints. I think it was when you're waiting around to go racing that was bad.
Yeah.
Like, we want to get more cool suit coolers so we can use our cool suits when we're just waiting to drive.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So what's next for you and the electric turtle, the Bolt race car?
This car its next race will be at Button Willow Raceway in, I think, about 3 months at the end of September.
Oh, wow.
And it'll be a Lemons race. And the big thing we're working on is figuring out a better charging strategy. So there are two things we can do. One is Button Willow is one of the tracks that has superchargers on site, which we verified do work with this car. Thunderhill also has superchargers, but they're not in the Tesla app or the GM app, and you can really only use them with the plug-in charge capability and not start them from the app, so we couldn't get it to work with this car. Anyway, so we'll have better charging proximity.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is we may add an RV-style tow bar. You've probably all seen someone will tow a Jeep or some car behind an RV.
Yeah.
We want to tow this with another EV. And so our idea of going to town for fuel is the other EV. One of our team members, for example, has a Mach-E, which has, I think, close to 100 kilowatt-hour battery, somewhere in the 90s at least. We'll take that, charge it, come back, and then right at the side of the track when the car comes off, hook up and start towing this so it regen tows. So we don't know how much we're going to use the supercharger and how much we're going to use the tow bar, but those are the things we're experimenting with.
All right, so in September, everyone tune in to see how that goes, what is going to be the solve for the charge scenario. Forrest, thank you so much for taking us through this. This is a super cool build, and I look forward to seeing what you do next with the electric turtle car.
Great, thanks.